Hi everyone, it's part 2 of yeast breads and specifically rosemary focaccia. So the dough has been fermenting for about an hour, covered in this bowl. So let's take a look. What's nice about a tall narrow bowl, you can actually see how much it's risen. Look at that, beautiful. Put your fingers in there, the indentation stays, beautiful. It's nice and gassy. One time you want something gassy. Woohoo. Okay, so let's proceed to step 4. Take the dough out. Beautiful. And on the bottom you can see, I know it's hard to see in the video, but oh, it smells good, but you can also see the CO2. You can see the little air pockets, and that's what you want. All right, so now it's folding. So I'm just gonna fold it a little bit. Remember, this helps to expel excess CO2, helps to develop further gluten structure, and equalizes out the dough temperature. All right, perfect. That's all you need to do. Now I'm going to divide this into, going to divide this into 4 pieces of dough. I've got my scale. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to do rounds, but I kind of want to see, get as close. All right, so that's about 10 ounces. Let's get a little bit more here. Use the bench scraper. 10, look at that, good, good, good. Supposedly this recipe was supposed to make about 3 pounds of dough, which would be 48 ounces. So that's 11 on that one. So it should be around 12 each. Let's see. It's a little high. Okay, that's fine. Good. All right, so now we go to step 5. Which is divide and portion, which we just did. And then we're going to round. Okay. So remember, rounding. The goal is to form the dough into a fairly smooth piece. Then we're going to let it rest for 10 minutes, and then it's going to be easier to shape in the long run. So think about pulling all the sides up. Almost like making a purse. Pull up all the sides. And then I just kind of hold on to it and stretch it a little. Stretch out that outer skin. Perfect. This is one of those that, you know, if you'd be here, I could really have you feel and show it. But do the best you can. The important part of it is pretty much more the resting than the rounding. So, I mean, they're both important, but all right. Stretch, stretch, pull, good. One more piece. So I'm going to do 2 of the rounds with the caramelized onions and 2 with just Parmesan. All right. Great. All right. So, of course, we want to keep that covered. Keep the dough covered at all times. Perfect. Really loosely, because it's going to still keep fermenting and rise a little bit. Okay. We also want to do an egg wash to put on the loaves. So I'm just taking 1 whole egg. Just using a fork to break it up. And then instead of water, and this one I'm using oil. And this is one of the tricks too to getting a beautiful brown crust on the top of the baked focaccia is this glaze. So 1 egg and olive oil. Beautiful. All right, let's put that off to the side. Okay, so the rounding. So now we're on step 7, which is the bench rest. And it's called bench resting because in a bakery, the tables are called the workbench. So that's where bench rest comes from. Let me move some of this out of the way. All right. So we're going to work on the caramelized onions now. Let me move the camera here so you can see the stovetop. So I've heated up nice big saute pan, and I'm going to show you how to do the onions. I have this really cool, kind of like a mandolin, to slice those onions. So I've taken one small onion. This is actually a Vidalia onion, which is a little sweet, but which will work really good for this bread. And I just take the holder and I go back and forth. I get nice thin slices. I found this at like Bed Bath & Beyond. It's a little set with grater and a slicer attachment, and then it goes right into this bin. Really very nice little tool. All right, pan's getting warm. So I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons of butter and a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Get it nice and hot. So the goal here is to sweat the onions, to cook them down. I don't want to brown them. I just want to get them nice and soft so when they go on top of the bread and then it bakes, the onions will get nice and brown and caramelized and beautiful. All right, add your onions. Nice thin slices. Kind of break it apart like that. Good, good. I'm going to add some salt, about a teaspoon of salt. This coarse sea salt again. Actually, let's take it out this way. There we go. Good. So I'm using salt in the caramelized onions. I use salt in the bread, and then we're going to use salt on top of the bread as well. And again, the sea salt, I bought a coarse sea salt, easy to find at any grocery store. You can buy a fine coarse grate of sea salt, but I kind of like the coarse, especially on some breads, the top of bread, on top of foods as well. So this will just take a couple minutes while I'm waiting for my dough to relax, for the gluten to relax. I'm going to clean up a little bit. Get things out of the way. Beautiful. Just keep moving them around. Get a plate to put them on when they're finished. Put that off to the side. Now, to get our pans ready for the focaccia, for the proofing step, I'm going to coat them in olive oil. Again, more oil. Yum. About 1 tablespoon is plenty. And you can take a pastry brush and just kind of brush it all over. So focaccia is going to be a soft bread. It's not going to be crispy like a French or an Italian bread. So it's going to have a soft outer crust from the glaze. See, so just a thin coat of olive oil. And so I'm doing 2 on 2 different pans. So do the second one. This is our half sheet pans. All right, onions are looking good. See, it doesn't take very long and they're sliced really thin. Perfect. Thin coating of olive oil on my 2 half sheet pans. So you can easily cut this recipe in half if you don't want as much bread, but you know, at some point when you're going to doing it, you might as well make a full batch. You can freeze it, pull it out when you want it. All right, so I'm starting to see little colors, so I think it is time to take them off the heat. You can see how soft they are. Perfect. Turn off the heat. So I want you to save all the fat that's in there with it too. Put it all together on a plate to cool. Okay. Perfect. Just like that. Beautiful. Okay. Put that to the side. Okay. All right. I don't think it's been 10 minutes, but hopefully the dough has had enough time to relax. So I have my egg wash here. Make sure it's mixed. I've got a pastry brush. Now the toppings, the cheese, the rosemary, the onions will not go on during proofing. If I put them on during proofing, it will inhibit the dough from rising. So basically just a little bit of the egg wash on top while they're proofing. I have turned the oven on at 175, turned it off so there's some residual warmth in there. And I'm also going to put a pan in there that I'm going to fill with water so it adds humidity to the proofing. Okay, so let's look ahead to step 8, which is the makeup and panning that comes next. Let's move that up. Good. Okay. So just a little bit more time. Parmesan, I'm just going to use a fine grated Parmesan on top. Again, I have the rosemary. That's going to go on as well. The hydrated rosemary I have left over. Okay. All right. So let me get set up here. I know it's not been a full 10 minutes, but I don't want you to have to wait. So let's move this over so you can see. All right, there you go. All right, so there's my prepared pan with the olive oil. So you take each piece. These are the two a little bit larger. So I'm going to take these. Then I want to get my hands a little greasy, so I just rub them in some of the oil. And all you're going to do is push down. Push, push, push. I kind of push and stretch. Remember, you'll get more stretch the more the dough has a chance to relax. Get it as flat as you want. But see how it'll stretch back a little? And that's okay. It's fine. Do the same on this one. Grease up your fingers a little bit. Cause dimples, and this is the most common thing with focaccia is you dimple it. But I also, see, I pull and stretch. Push, stretch. Good. They will expand as they proof. All right, perfect. Then I'm going to take my egg wash and just give it a nice coat. This will prevent the dough from drying out. Plus, it's going to give a beautiful color from the egg when it bakes. But it's keeping the dough moist. If I just put it in and let it proof without the humidity, the dough might get a skin on it. And if you get a skin on it, then it's not going to rise properly. Okay, that's it. I'm going to do the other two and put them in my oven, warm place to proof, probably about 30 minutes. then join me on the third part of the video where I will show you how to put the toppings on and then into a nice hot oven. So see you for step or part 3. Okay, bye.